Welcome to the Stratix Enterprise Mobility Insights Podcast, where we talk about mobile technology in business, education, and healthcare. Whether it's new trends, new products, or better ways to do things, our goal is to give you useful information that'll make your organization better. Today, we're talking about how Stratix and Jonathan's Landing are making a difference. Here's your host, Stratix Vice President of Strategic Alliances and Partnerships, Gina Daniel Lee.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Enterprise Mobility Insight Outlook podcast. I'm Gina Daniel Lee, Vice President of Strategic Alliances and Partnerships here at Stratix. I am really excited about our conversation today. We're going to be talking about a new partnership with Stratix with the Jonathan's Landing Foundation. And with me today is Kimberly McCartan, CEO, and Kevin Reynolds, Chief Financial Consultant with Jonathan's Landing Foundation. Guys, I'm so excited about this conversation today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Gina.
I'm going to start by just asking you guys to tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Oh, okay. We'll start. I'll jump in because Kevin's is going to be so good. So I'll go first. So Kimberly McCartan, I am acting CEO here at Jonathan's Landing Foundation. I have a long history of working with individuals with disabilities and autism. Super excited about what we're doing here at Jonathan's Landing and definitely thrilled to be part of now the Stratix family and us all working together. So thank you.
We are too. Kevin, how about you?
Yes, I'm Kevin Reynolds. I'm the Chief Financial Consultant for Jonathan's Landing Foundation. I'm a serial entrepreneur, have been managing my family office for over a decade now, and have some experience in mergers and acquisitions. So been happy to lend my hand to what I believe is an incredible mission that we serve here at Jonathan's Landing.
A lot of great expertise for a really amazing cause. Kimberly, let's start by just, giving our listeners a little bit of understanding about what exactly is Jonathan's Landing?
Yeah, thank you. So Jonathan's Landing Foundation, our goal is to live and work on equal pillars. Jason Eichenholz, our founder, has done an amazing job in letting people know what it is that we want to do and what we started out doing only just a few years ago, but really the last year, incredible momentum. And what that really means for us is 5,000 jobs. Right. So really creating and building out a pipeline of how people can really work. So it's career pathways. So when we say that, it's not we're going to be the job placement center for 5,000 people. No, what we want to do is build out how do we give an individual an opportunity for a true career pathway. And that's where we are in this space with you all in looking at the cell phone tablet repair and disposition industry. And then we also have our 500 residential community. So what we are building there is a true hub where our social enterprises will be housed, education, all of our supports for individuals with disabilities that are neurodiverse and have autism. And that at that point, what they can do there is really learn how do they become as independent as they possibly can be? How do we help them in their growth? So it is through their job placement. It is through their social connections and them finding out who they are as people and how independent they can be. So then we'll have pocket neighborhoods for people to live. So we'll very much feel like a community that any of us would live in. It just winds up having additional supports when that individual needs that. So it's really just a beautiful connection of how do we really live and work and how do we do that as adults? Because it is such a major part of our life, of our job, are the people that we work with and socializing. And then we have our play, which is our events with Jonathan. And that is our connection that we have with live entertainment events and really giving people an experience they would have never had before. Orlando Magic has been an amazing connection for us and has been just so incredible, allowing us to get this program going. And what an we've seen such an incredible growth in the individuals that have been coming to those events and what sensory is to them. So there's a lot that we're going to be doing at Jonathan's Landing Foundation from a research and development position, and even at Techtonic, what we're doing here from a work development, the same will hold true there. So lots and lots to come in our future.
There's a lot to come, and there's a lot of great things going on. And as you mentioned, huge part of the mission is really creating opportunities for adults who experience autism and other neurodiversities to really have meaningful careers, right? And with one of the focuses being, you kind of touched on it, the device repair and IT asset disposal piece. And that's where Techtonic, the technology arm of Jonathan's Landing, comes in. And I was so fortunate to be part of the launch a few weeks ago. Kevin, talk to me a little bit about like why that ended up being the focus of your very first venture.
Absolutely. So when we looked at the mission of Jonathan's Landing and creating those 5,000 career pathways, as well as providing the housing for the individuals, we really looked at how it would work on a cost basis and realized that even if we were able to offer housing for free, the cost of services for these families is astronomical. And rather than continuing to be reliant on donor dollars, we wanted to be able to maximize contributions. And the only way we knew how was through taking on entrepreneurial endeavors where we could take that donor dollar and use a social enterprise as a force multiplier to create additional dividends so that we could drive down the cost of housing and services for individuals. And so we looked at in our backyard really what industries there were available to us here in the Central Florida area that were really a green field and had a lot of upside. And as you know, most individuals have 2 or 3 devices of their own, and they're consistently upgrading them with the newest and best device they have out there on the market. And the real issue is what happens to those older devices that still have that still has that residual value in the secondary market that needs to be responsibly recycled or can be upcycled and resold. And we found through doing an extensive amount of research that if we were to go ahead and participate in both the repair activities as well as the asset disposition activities associated with those mobile devices, we could generate a large return for our community members to help drive down the cost of housing and services while meaningfully employ individuals.
Wow. And what were some of the challenges, as going through this research and doing the analysis, what were some of the challenges you had to overcome?
Well, there's the IT asset and disposition industry and mobile repair industry really has 2 players. They have their smaller regional players, and then you have some of your larger players that service companies, much like Stratix does, that deal with a large volume of devices. In order to meaningfully drive down the cost of housing and services, we had to be able to operate at scale. And that's the mission of Jonathan's Landing, to create not only a ton of employment opportunities and training opportunities, but also a ton of revenue that can be used to offset those housing and services costs. And so breaking through that barrier of knocking down the doors with corporations and making the introductions to those corporations was really one of the large hurdles. Unfortunately, we were able to have a relationship with you guys at Stratix who have really opened a ton of doors for us and assisted us in the monumental growth we're experiencing over here at Techtonic.
It's been so great being involved with you guys and helping with this journey because it's so worthwhile. And I know, you work with organizations like CTIA and I Fix Your Eye, and, talk a little bit to our listeners about how you get your people trained and certified.
So, to your point, we wound up getting introduced to CTIA just about 2 years ago. And then in the last year, we've really developed how can we take it so that we are serving the individuals that we want to serve, but also being a service to CTIA. And that was really important to go, where is the mutual benefactor, right? Where's the mutual, the part that kind of really brings us together and goes, how are we partners here? And so what we were able to look at is the WISE certification that is run by CTIA and was developed by CTIA is what we really looked at and going, oh, okay, so there's a 20,000 technician shortage across the country. that's something that speaks volumes, right, to us, going, okay, well, we have a lot of people that we want to try to get work opportunities for. This is a perfect connection. How do we then take that WISE certification curriculum and we adopt that or adapt it and enhance it so that it is able to allow more people to be engaged in it? And so when we looked at that, we're like, oh, we could do things like introduce universal design learning so that we're bringing in more auditory prompts, more graphics, different ways that someone is learning and is adapting to the curriculum itself. And so what we wanted to do in setting out to work with CTIA was, we don't want to ask you, can we make a new curriculum for people with disabilities? Because now there's something that is changed then, right? Is that the same technician certification? So it was really important for us to go, can we instead enhance what you have, then push in something that we're calling our micro credentials and allow people to learn at a pace that's right for them and be able to get to a full certification. Now, every single person, whether you have a disability or not, the certification is the same. You know that if we certify people here at Jonathan's Landing Foundation and they happen to live near your facility, or then you know they are just as qualified for that job as anyone else that is certified. That was one of the most important things. Far too often when something like this comes up, we're making the special thing, right? We don't want to do that. So then we're taking it a step further and looking at it going, so what's going to happen at Techtonic is, as we are training our individuals, they will also do their apprenticeship here with us, which is why the Million Device Drive, which I know we're going to talk about, comes into play in such a big way. But they'll be doing their apprenticeship with us, either staying with Techtonic or going out and getting a job at a Stratix, at a You Break I Fix, at a Batteries Plus. The other part of that is being able to look at those micro credentials and identify that I may love doing the diagnostic. I may love just going, okay, I'm going to take all of these thousands of phones and I'm just going to I'm going to sort. Where do these go and where do they need to go in the repair process? And so I may get a micro credential that I'm excellent at that job, and that may be all that I want to do. So now you have a micro credential that doesn't say you're different, that says you're an expert at this, and then being able to take people to go to a mastery level of a technician. And so that's been an amazing journey these last months that Kevin and I have been on, and we got to see it live right before the launch that we had a couple weeks ago. We did a demo day for an organization. It was such an incredible day and so good to see these faces light up and get really excited about a job opportunity they didn't even know existed.
It was such a smart way to do that, Kimberly. And I remember seeing some of the pictures from that event the day before the launch, and it just looked incredible, and had the opportunity to meet some of those students, and they were just thrilled to have had the opportunity to learn. It was great. And as I said before, we're so excited to be partnering with you. For us, it's in, we've been in technology for a long time, and it's enabling us to, conjoin, if you will, technology with philanthropy and do something good at the same time. We, from a Stratix perspective, we're leveraging your resources for repair and for IT asset disposition. We're helping to move forward the 1 million device drive. You mentioned it. Now let's talk about it, right? Tell me about the 1 million device drive and how you guys are leveraging that.
Sure. Maybe I'll kick it off. I'm sure Kevin's going to want to join in on this too. So, we really looked at how do we allow more people to engage? Because exactly to your point, not only are we doing something that's amazing and we have all the same credentials that we need to have to be a good quality, right? Techtonic is all about quality. And so we look at that and then go, but how do we actually engage more people? Well, if we do something where we're going, how many people can we actually employ? how are we going to get all of the work to get this kicked off? You all in the industry have been at this a little longer than us that just were born only a few weeks ago, right? So how do we actually put ourselves out there? And we came up with so many people wanted to engage in Jonathan's Landing Foundation. How do we help? How would we get involved in Techtonic? Let's launch the Million Device Drive. And so what that is, it is the simplest, easiest way to actually engage in this project. It's like you just said, how many devices do you have sitting around in your house that you don't even realize been in a drawer, but you hold on to it because it's like, where am I really going to go with it? Right? You could bring it to Stratix and have it certified that it's been wiped and clean, but most people don't know to do that. So us being able to go, hey, you literally could just bring in devices from your own home. Then it's taking it a whole nother step further, like you all did, and did a whole drive with your employees and then sent us this amazing palette in like overnight success. So what that's doing for us is allowing us now to start, then our technicians will start all their training and their apprenticeship on these devices. They have such a win-win-win. And I know that's where Kevin shines. I know he loves talking about the win, so I'm going to throw that over to him.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the beautiful things about Techtonic is that it doesn't just help the individual autistic community and help drive down those costs of housing and services, but it's a mutually beneficial relationship for not just individuals, but also corporations. There's a lot of different things that you have to consider when it comes to getting rid of what you could call e-waste. How are the batteries being handled? Where do they go? What about my data? And we're able to solve a lot of those issues. At Techtonic, we follow the DoD standard R2v3 certification for responsible personal protected information being handled and destroyed, as well as making sure that we're ethically and responsibly recycling any device components that need to be recycled. This really helps out corporations in that when they have that closet full of devices that were issued 2 or 3 years ago and there's been a refresh, what do we do with them? You can hand those devices over to Jonathan's Landing. We, at no cost, will go ahead and wipe those devices of that information and ensure that those devices are responsibly handled and disposed of, or put back into the market for secondary users that might not be able to afford the new device. In fact, a portion of the devices we receive, we actually redistribute to community charities in our area so that they can go ahead and use those devices for accessibility needs. Some of those devices are resold on the secondary market and are used to generate profits to drive down the cost of housing and services for adults with autism. And then the rest of them that aren't eligible for either of those two outcomes are either pieced out and parted out for repairs of other working devices or ethically recycled. Now, I said a lot there. So how does it really benefit the corporations in addition to just handling devices in the way they should be handled rather than just thrown in the trash can? Not only are you helping the community, not only are you helping the environment, that you're making sure that it's handled responsibly and ethically, but
wait for it.
By donating your device to the Jonathan's Landing Foundation Techtonic organization, you can actually claim a tax deduction. And I'm not giving tax advice here. Please consult with whoever you may have handling your taxes before you take it my word on anything. But you can donate your device to Jonathan's Landing Foundation, the Techtonic Corporation, and we can issue you a donation receipt for that device that you no longer have a need for. And oftentimes we believe that you can recapture a larger value for that device when you donate it than you would be able to selling it on the secondary market. And when you're a corporation that is handling thousands and tens of thousands of devices, that small bit of arbitrage can have a huge impact on your balance sheet. So I personally can't find a reason why you would want to look elsewhere when it comes to getting rid of your end-of-life devices or seeking repairs for your active fleet of devices. But I welcome the challenge because what we've built here at Jonathan's Landing is beautiful. And I just can't think of a better way that we can create something that benefits our community and benefits the people that work with us.
I completely agree with you. It was so easy for us to get involved. Internally, just mentioning the Million Device Drive, people, like you said, started bringing in devices that they had stored in the closet. So that was super easy. But what also was really easy was leveraging, our distribution channel, who have hundreds of thousands of devices that come through their facilities, all the time. And they were excited to jump on board and get involved in this because it was super easy for them as well. And, I said this during the launch. I said to Jason, I think maybe 1 million might be too small, but let's, aim high. But, so it is super easy. And I would encourage any of our listeners that want to get involved to, reach out, and we can certainly, help get you connected with the right people. I think, one other question, or a couple other questions, but one that I'd like to throw to both of you is, what does the Stratix partnership mean to Jonathan's Landing Foundation?
Do you want to start, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were fortunate enough to start working with you guys at the beginning of this year, and you guys have been the catalyst and driving force behind really establishing that pipeline of community partners and corporations that are taking a leap and moving forward with Techtonic. You've been a great partner, not just in our relationship regarding repair of devices, but also in the end of life ITAD, IT asset disposition side of things. And without that relationship, as I said at the beginning of this conversation, the large hurdle was, how do we scale this up and reach volume quickly? Without the partnership, I know it would have been a tremendously difficult uplift, and you guys have been phenomenal partners in doing so. And so I thank you, and I know the organization thanks you.
Yes. I'm going to add to that because that is absolutely spot on. It also for Jonathan's Landing Foundation, I think how long, right? You're so long standing in the business. You're so highly regarded in the industry that it really allowed people to instantly go, oh, okay, if Stratix is doing this and this is important to Stratix, then it's going to be important to us and we should really look at this. So it really gave us that amazing boost that we needed. And I know for us internally, because, when you're starting a project and you're certainly, you're kicking something off and it's the right thing, but you just need that one thing to get you to the next step, to start being able to go, well, they're doing it, so who else is going to join in? I mean, you all were it for us. And I think that's huge. And that's always going to be something that's incredible. You all probably didn't even know you were doing as much for us as you were. But it really did, because we felt like, okay, we've arrived. We really can do this. This is something we can push forward. And when you were, Gina, truly so excited about Million Device Drive, and then instantly connecting with us on pricing and being able to bid on jobs. And that was like, okay, we're doing this. This is real and we can really move forward. You always need that one thing that gets you started, right? So thank you.
No, thank you guys. It is real and we are doing it, and we're going to do even more. Kimberly, I think I would be doing a disservice if I didn't ask you to tell our listeners how to get involved with Jonathan's Landing, how can they learn more? So, please let's talk about that a little bit before we close.
Absolutely. So obviously you can go to, first and foremost, you can go to jonathanslanding.org. We do have a website that is going to be under even more development as we continue to move and grow and evolve as an organization. And then there is techtonic.world. So you can get a lot more information about Techtonic specifically, our services, what we do. And there's a button there for Million Device Drive. So you can also go milliondevicedrive.com. So we have lots of ways. We've got them all. We've got world, com, org. We've got it covered. You can absolutely call me directly. Gina, I will share my information. What I love about connecting with corporations, with businesses, with anyone that wants to get involved is I love the personal connection. the relationship building, the meeting with people like we did with you and go, okay, how is this mutually beneficial for both of us? What is it that you're looking to achieve at your organization, and how can we help? What winds up happening, we start there. We get wins all over. Like the companies we've been talking to these last couple weeks, it's amazing how much also they're like, oh, you can help us. Oh, okay. Well, yes, we could work together. We're not only asking for something. And I think that's one of the most important parts of Jonathan's Landing Foundation, is that because of what we're looking to do. And if you think about each of the organizations that are listening to this, listening to us right now, if you've made it this far, if you look around your surroundings and you ask the group of 100 people at where you work, or 100 friends of yours, do you have a loved one or a connection with somebody that has autism, is neurodiverse? 3/4 of the room is raising their hand. They are. And so that's why when we get together with people one-on-one, it's what are the needs that you also have at your organization? How can we actually achieve that together? And I think that's the most beautiful part. So I would say to everyone, reach out to us, because you just never know where the road will go and what we might be able to also help with.
That's so true. And I think we're only just beginning. So thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you for the conversation. It's been great. I know our listeners are really going to be excited about the opportunity and the journey. And I just appreciate you guys taking the time to share it with us today.
Thanks,
you, Gina.
And listeners, thank you for joining us today, and look forward to another podcast of Enterprise Mobility Insights. Until next time, goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Stratix Enterprise Mobility Insights podcast. If you like what you heard today, please share it and visit stratixcorp.com/podcast to subscribe. That way you'll never miss an episode.